Okay.
You. And welcome to Sonship Communication Presents Express Yourself, where we deal with the news and views related to the African American community. This is part two of Black tribute to Black Music Month, and we're honored to have some royalty. Want to introduce Ron Atkins, and he's actually in the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. Welcome, Ron. Peace be with you.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be anywhere these days,
That's
and
right.
it's even a better pleasure to be gracing your podcast, my friend. You know I love you. I've been
Thank you.
knowing you for at least 5 years, and
Exactly.
something
With
like
another with a zero after that.
45 or 50 years,
Something
and
like that.
you look young as when we were
Appreciate you.
living on Woodlawn Avenue, and man, I'll tell you, it's been a good race. It's been a
That's
good
right.
race.
Ron, tell me. I mean, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're Buffalo's own, and tell me about that stair steps to the National Black Radio Hall of Fame.
Man, I mean, I don't want to get too long-winded, man.
That's okay.
I just want to synopsize this as much as I can, but I will say this: to God be the glory. His
That's right.
grace and tender mercies has allowed me to go up to the mountaintop. You know, uh, hang out in the valley where the grass was green, and then I go back up to the mountaintop, and I sometimes you fall. I used to tell people that sometimes you got to get to the end of yourself for God to show up in your life, because
Good
that's
point.
when you don't have you have no other choices. You have no other options except go to the person that made you. Because you're just like
That's
where am I at right now? And I had
good
a,
point.
a bunch of those moments in my life, but most of the time I was able to pop up and do well. I started McKinley High School, played football. I was all high. Went to Hobart College, uh, played football, ran track. I was All American, uh, number number three in the country in the triple jump. And
Awesome.
I'm trying to go into the Olympics, but back then, you had to know somebody, have a serious hookup,
That's
be
right.
rich or whatever, because they weren't throwing out sponsors like they are now.
That's right.
So after that, um, radio chose me because when I quit the football team because I got hit in practice. We were doing
Ooh.
something called Oklahomans.
Oh, please. Yes.
We were doing Oklahomas.
That tells your age because they don't. That shows your age because they don't do that no more. That's right.
They were tired of people getting their neck broke.
That's right.
So, long story short, my roommate named Jamie, I remember his name. He hit me, man. I was just trying too hard because the coach said, he's been mouthing off all afternoon. I want you to give him a good one, Ron.
Exactly.
Got up and he gave me the good one, and I basically got a concussion. I didn't know what it was.
Ooh. Yeah.
So,
I've had that. I've had that.
yeah, man. So I didn't know where the nausea came from. Now I know, and a lot of ringing, but it took the desire for me to want to get back in there and play again.
Sure.
Because I used
Sure.
to use my hat. To people
Right.
that don't know what that coaches speak, that means what?
Right.
Your
The
helmet.
helmet.
You
Right.
know.
Head first, baby. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
And,
Yeah.
and, and a good coach will tell you, if you're gonna go head first, put your head up
Right.
so you
That's
don't
right.
get a crack. But
Right.
I didn't have to worry about that again. The reason I think that radio chose me because um, the athletic hall was called Sherrill Hall in Hobart College, and it was coincidentally on top of the radio station in Geneva, and it was a Class C regular radio station.
Okay.
Okay, it was only like 20,000 watts, but you could hear it all over Geneva.
Okay.
And one day I went down there because I had gotten the bug, when I was 13 or 14. I said, I want to try this. I went down there and the program director was down there, some white dude. He was cool. And he said, hey, man, you ever did radio before? I said, no, but I have aspirations. He said, you want to come in and try overnights? So I tried overnights and he didn't hear me. And he said, well, you know what? I got something else coming up this week. I filled in and he liked what I did, and then he gave me a shift every week, and then pretty soon I was on every day.
Awesome.
Can you come in, Ron? Can you come in? You know, but I had been listening, Keith, to all the guys that we grew up listening to: Warren Epps, Gary Bird, the Imhotep.
Gary Bird.
Yeah, we and Buffalo.
Right.
We listened to Darcel, even though she's a female, she was still a great radio person.
Right.
And Freddie Patrick and all those
of
people.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, people that were legends.
Right.
You know, Don Allen Jr.
Exactly.
Who passed away. I mean, I can
go I didn't know he passed away. Okay.
Huh?
I didn't know he had passed away. Okay.
Oh, yeah, he passed away. Byron Pitts passed away. A lot of guys.
Well, no, wait, but Byron lived like 3 houses from me.
He sure did. Yes, he did.
He went to Dallas. He passed away too.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Because he was young. He's younger than me. He was younger than me.
Oh, he was between us.
Right. He went to Dallas, didn't he?
Went to Dallas. He first went to KDKO in Denver.
Okay.
Him and Danny Harris. They went there, and then he wound up going to Dallas, and he wound up doing. Him and Warren Epps were like huge.
I didn't know he passed. How long ago was that?
Man, this was like 10 years ago. 10, 11
I didn't. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's a sad story. He was doing records. He was a record promoter for RCA Records.
Oh wow!
And he had a crib in Poconos, man. He had it laid out. He saved his money.
Yeah.
And one day he was on the phone with his wife, talking about regular stuff, and the phone went blank. He had passed out, had a heart attack, and by the time somebody went to where he was at, he was gone, man. I had to. I did a eulogy at his funeral.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he really helped me get into it. All right, so I'll fast forward. When I got to Buffalo, I started knocking on doors, and I would go to Wuffo, and Wuffo would give me a shot. But I had to be a gopher because
I know how that is.
You had to do that, whether you're coaching, whether you're doing broadcasting,
That's right.
Anything you want to do in professional life. Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, Belichick was a gopher for years.
And you know what? I think there's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, you know, you got to get in where you fit in.
You get in when you fit in. When that door opens, sometimes it only opens for a short time.
That's right.
You got to pop in. So I wind up stealing my mother's car to go to get the program director some weed.
I try to maintain my composure.
You know, me and my brother used to steal my mother's car because we learned how to jimmy it. It was an old Buick. To the point where we didn't need a key. So my brother called himself going out for a date with a girl, and he stole the car because my mom didn't give it to him. He got caught over on Boulders by the police.
Oh, wow.
And the police put the flashlight in there, sir. Can I see your registration and your driver's license?
What's that?
Hey, the cop said, "Oh, hell no. Get out. You're arrested." Because I see a key in that damn thing. And he got how'd you go get pulled over from the cops and you don't have a key? You automatically going to jail.
That's rough. No doubt. Plus what your mother's gonna do.
Oh man, that was a bad situation. So anyway, I did that. I paid my dues, and finally I got a chance with WBLK. Byron Pitts sort of referred me to Freddie Patrick. Freddie Patrick gave me a chance to go on the air, and my breakthrough at BLK was every Sunday I'd get 2 hours and 45 minutes. And this would be my whole thing for the 2 hours and 45 minutes. At 6 o'clock, I would intro the preceding. I remember it. The preceding show is brought to you by the Always Prayer Band, sponsored by the Always Prayer Band.
Oh, wow.
And I remember it. And I had to say that at the top of the hour. Then I said it again at 15 after. Then after I did that for about 6 months, the overnight guy wind up getting a big head, and they fired him, and they asked me if I wanted to do overnights.
Oh,
And that
awesome.
was really my claim to fame. Yep.
Awesome.
To begin radio. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Rodney Lee. Remember that name, Rodney Lee?
Vaguely, I think I heard of Rodney Lee.
Yeah, he was the guy, but he got the big head, and it's tough to have the big head when you're doing overnights. I mean,
now now you were here in Houston. I'm in Houston. You were at
I was at Magic.
Magic, right.
Yeah.
And where were you at before Magic?
I was in St. Louis.
Oh, well, okay.
At KMJQ, no, KMJM. The sister station is KMJQ, which is in Houston, and it's on the. Oh man, that station is that's like B103 in Atlanta.
Okay.
And you know about B103, and
I heard of it.
Or some of those heritage stations like KISS in Washington, and BLS in New York. I mean, people grew up on those stations, and those stations become a part of. It's a legacy for people's families. Yeah, I loved it on the Southwest Freeway, Wesleyan, right between Buffalo Speedway and on 59, Greenway Plaza.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, Greenway Plaza was where all the athletes, everybody that played against the Rockets, that's where they stayed. That's where they stayed.
Is that right?
Yeah, they stayed in Greenway Plaza. That's right. That's right.
Oh,
You can see them sometime coming. If you came early enough, you could see them leaving out. The Lakers, all those teams, leaving out, headed to the summit to get beat by Olajuwon. I'm a fan.
When you're talking about Olajuwon, became a real good friend of mine, man, and he's one of the nicest guys I ever ran into. Kenny Smith.
Okay, that's good to hear.
He lived on Electric Avenue. Probably still is like a little mansion.
Right.
And I lived the next street over when you definitely weren't a mansion.
Okay. That's good to hear, though. That's good to hear.
Yeah. He wound up. Because he was trying to get in radio. Him and Warren Moon, I befriended them because they wanted to get in radio.
I met Warren Moon at his practice around the same time you were there, and I just started a Sonship, actually called Sonship Presents or something like that. And I was at a practice, and he walked over to me. I guess because he thought I was with the Black Press. Because I did have
you look like it.
But back then, you could get a press pass from the police department to go to events. You could go to Of course, I abused it, but Warren Moon saw me, man, and gave my card. He was a real down to earth dude, real cool.
I tell you, man, he was. It's a shame what happened to him when I was going through my drug situation. We can talk about that because I have no shame in it, man. It's
no problem.
It's a testimony. Show God how good He is, how faithful He is, and how He's available to bring you out of anything, man. He's faithful.
That's right.
And when after I went through my drug problem, with cocaine, Warren reached out to me and he took me to Windsor Village.
Oh, wow.
He introduced me to Kirby John Caldwell.
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't too far. I stayed in Missouri City then. It wasn't far from me at all.
Yeah. You did. Right, and Warren came by almost every Sunday. And a couple of days I didn't want to go, man. He said, man, I'm coming to drag you out that damn bed, Ron.
That's awesome, man.
And I don't want to fight Warren. So.
No, he's nice size. He's nice.
And then he would always take me to Waffle House. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good story. That's a good story.
Yeah,
so I mean, but from BLK, you went elsewhere. Where'd you go after that? Because that was like in the mid-90s.
St. Louis, Magic 108 St. Louis, which was an amateur group radio station. It was the same group before things got really crazy with the Communication Act.
Right.
I was there for like 2 years.
Okay.
And I balled out.
I've been the same, but I actually worked for us. It was called AT&T, but it's called Southwestern Bell. I was trained in St. Louis, and St. Louis is an interesting place. I'll leave it at that. Very interesting.
It's kind of. You ever heard of the term geechee?
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
Okay, it's kind of geechee.
Yeah.
Although you got some people like yourself and the other guy, the other gentleman that's on the call. People that are professionals that have done well in their life, but you got a lot of geechies there, man.
It's an interesting spot. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. And the reason I say Geechee, so there are some people from St. Louis. I don't mean that in a
No,
derogatory
no,
sense.
no, 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 no.
I
I
mean, I
understand.
mean
I
that
was there.
down home
Yeah.
people, down
Right.
home people.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, grits and collard greens.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
all
Yeah,
I mean
yeah.
by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I mean, because I knew. I mean, I befriended one guy who was a native, St. Louis, and yeah, like you said, man, real cool. I mean, it just it gets cold there though. They do get the hawk. They
It
do
gets
get the
and
hawk.
it gets.
They get
I
the hawk.
remember when I was there one year, it was over 100, 5 or 6 times in July.
Wow,
It was over
wow.
100. Yeah,
That's pretty. I
that's
never
pretty. That's
experienced that.
pretty intense, man.
Yeah, it's very intense. Very intense.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now,
Then I
did you come back to Buffalo after St. Louis? I mean, because what the
no
rest of your
no.
career?
Then I went
Where'd
to
you go?
I'll longitudinally show you how I went. So I went from there to Houston
Uh-huh.
because God allowed me to do really well. Everybody comes out of Buffalo does well. You
That's
know,
a good point. That's a good
work
point.
if you work hard at it.
Exactly.
Something in the water. And I went to Houston and did really well there.
You did.
After I got the promotion from St. Louis to Houston, it was the same group. And then after that, I had the problem with the cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was hanging out, but that had started. Actually, I was messing around in Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
But back then, man, I'm not making an excuse for it. It was kind of like the drug of the day,
Oh yeah, no doubt. No
all
doubt.
the Bills were doing. I was hanging out with the Buffalo Bills, and
Okay.
almost everybody was doing that. Little weed and a little that. It doesn't make it right. You know what I find is some people's personality, they're able to control it. I think the best way now that I'm on the clean side is don't even make it something to control. Don't even put it in your
That's
life.
right. That's right.
You don't need to control nothing because it will sometimes control you. And you never want to be in that position, man.
Exactly.
You can lose everything.
That's right.
I mean everything. Your family, your car, your house, your business, and hopefully not your reputation. But yeah. So I started doing that. And when it got real tough for me, Keith, I knew it was hard for me to stop because I was only doing it on weekends, and I started doing it a couple times during the week with jobs, with people all around the station. Hey man, I got something going to the bathroom and hit this, and we did well, but I kind of felt myself unraveling a little bit, and one of the other jocks went, and it saved my life, I think, because he went to the general manager and he said, "Hey, I think Ron is out of control. I don't want him to, because a lot of football players were dying at that time."
Oh yeah. I remember. Remember Len Bias? That was a horrible thing. That was a horror story.
There's a bunch of them, man, and I wasn't mad at him because I felt it was a chance to get myself together. So they put me in the program, and I didn't stay with it, and I cheated. And my boss had me write something, declaration that if I didn't finish the program, he would, help me move on, show me the door, and that was probably the greatest thing that happened for me because it allowed me. But God had one more thing, and I think this added to the testimony. I went and bought a sizable amount of cocaine after I was fired, about an 8-ball, which is about, what is it? I guess it's about maybe $1,000. So I went and got that. I mean, I had so much money, I could actually light cigars with it, And I stayed up for 3 days straight.
That's rough, man.
3 days straight, and watching videos and doing cocaine. So me by myself. I had my drinks and everything in my condo, and you can tell me nothing. I was feeling good.
I remember I was at your condo once. I remember it's off of actually it was not too far from the stadium.
288.
Yeah, right. Wasn't too far from the stadium. Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
so anyway, I'm making a long story short. After the 3rd day, I was wired. I mean, I was so wired to sound. I called my drug guy and I said, man, listen, I need to get some more. He said, man, you sure? You've been doing a lot of coke. I said, yeah, I'm sure. You want this money or not? He said, all right, man, give me, I think, $200. So I'll be there in 10 minutes. He didn't live that far. He lived off of Bissonnette.
Okay. Okay.
So he got there. And here's the crazy thing. I put the $200 under my rug in front of the door on the outside.
Doormat. Yeah,
Okay.
doormat.
The welcome mat. Not the rug, no, welcome mat. And as I put the money up under there, I closed the door methodically. I only had my underwear on. And I closed it and I looked out the keyhole. For whatever reason. Next thing I know, the paramedics are bringing me back to life.
Wow.
I was laying out in my courtyard. Luckily, I had my underwear on. And they said my heart stopped.
Wow, that's deep, brother.
And they said, you were dead for about 5 minutes.
Wow.
Brought you back.
Kind of like the Mar Hamlin kind of thing.
Yeah. But mine was self-induced.
Right.
That was a different kind of hit.
Yeah. But you know, like you said, you were blessed.
Yeah, but you know what? I went to Billboard on there. They asked me if I could tell my story.
Good.
And I said, yeah, I'll tell the story. It was on front page of Billboard. And I had some guys come up to me and said, man, Ron, how could you do that? How could you tell your personal stuff? I said, I ain't going back to do that. If I can help somebody.
That's a good that's a good point. You know, help anybody. Just
what am I hiding?
Right.
I said, I feel better telling the whole world, don't mess with this stuff.
That's right. Right. That's how you do it. I mean, that's people believe that gives you credibility actually. Instead of just say,
you know what?
Just say no.
Absolutely. It does give you credibility to the right people.
Exactly.
But so after that, I moved to New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans?
No. Virginia Beach.
Oh, Virginia Beach. Okay.
Yeah.
Not far from DC. That's not far from DC.
Man, I had so much fun. There was Chester Benton and Steve Crumley.
I heard of Steve.
Oh, Steve is a beast, man. He's a beast. He did a lot. If you heard his voice, you really know who he was. He did all of the, well, not all of them, a majority of the commercials, the concert commercials for all the R&B, because hip hop really wasn't happening right there, for Alan Heyman Productions.
Oh, everybody knew Alan Heyman, man. Yeah,
this is an Alan Heyman production.
Yeah. Everybody
knew that. Man, Keith, let me tell you, that boy had a voice that only God can give him.
Yeah, Alan Heyman.
Yeah, he did all of the commercials. And he hired me. And then after that, he cried when I left. Not in front of me, but I heard that he was really upset. And he was mad at me.
Yeah.
He said, man, I gave you a chance, man. Other people didn't want to mess with you because they knew you. And I said, Steve, you really think it's about that? Then he said, man, no. He said, listen, we ain't never gonna have a problem. I love Steve today.
That's good.
I love him to death. And we talk all the time. It was really a bitter leaving him, because he did give me a chance. But I felt I had to come back to a bigger market to basically redeem myself. So I did. I went to New Orleans. That was the one that got me in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
Okay, I was about to ask you. Okay.
New Orleans.
Okay.
When I went down there, they had like a 7-share radio. They were getting their butts smashed. Nobody listened to them, right?
Really?
Yeah. They had a station that was beating them, had like a 15-share, doubled their listenership. And these were guys that weren't even and they were like carpetbaggers. They weren't even from the market. They just came up, set up a stick, and said, these boys sleep at the wheel. We're going to go ahead and take all their stuff. And their women.
Wow. Stop.
So I went in there because I knew radio. I just got, like, coach and coach.
Right.
All right? You know how to do a draw play. You know how to play to the weak side. Well, you know what? That's what I do. I'm an expert radio person. You're an expert coach. And we can say that not braggadociously,
No, no, people know what you know.
but
Yeah,
we earned those stripes.
that's right.
We were
That's right.
students
That's right.
of the game. You were a student
Right.
of coaching, and I
Exactly.
was a student of radio,
Right.
and I loved it.
Now, how long were you in New Orleans? How long were you there?
I was in there for a year and a half, 2
Okay.
years. I went in there. We had a 7 share. When I left, we had a 15 share.
Phew.
Killed them.
Yeah.
My general manager cried in my office.
Really? Really?
Don't leave.
You're the program director there too, right?
Yeah, I was a program director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was good enough to be on the air. I could hold my own on any station.
Right.
But I was a better program director than I was an air personality
Okay.
because
Okay.
my heart was more in the programming. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's a difference. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because the producer and I, Clarence Smith, we talk about. That's why I got one reason it got you here is kind of like what happened to like black music. I mean, because as I mentioned before the other day, we had the Motown sound. We kind of some of those artists split out. Marvin Gaye. Of course, Michael Jackson. He split. Stevie. He was little Stevie Wonder, and then he's Stevie Wonder. But what we grew up, the sound we grew up with, and then the sound that's today. I mentioned rap. I mean, is there really an R&B? Because sometimes I like the rap. Rap is different, but it just seems like it's not the same. It's not the same. I mean, we had the ballads, you had the Temptations. The Whispers. I mean, I think Walter Scott this past weekend. For the Whispers.
Yeah, that really that hurt me. Yeah.
Yeah. He seemed like a good guy. But I'm saying, what happened? In your opinion, what happened to the music? Because is it still R&B? Because it's hard to recognize now. I mean, maybe I'm just an old fogey, but it's hard to recognize.
It's I can't oversimplify it, but
Okay.
art always imitates life.
Okay, that's a good point.
Now I'm going to say something you might not believe it, okay? But this trend, this gangster rap, this very I'm going to say negative, disrespectful rap that we're hearing toward family, toward women, toward people, toward the races, sometimes toward God. It's turned around 1994, 95, somewhere around that. There was a meeting that took place, and I can document this. There was a meeting that took place on Catalina Island.
Okay.
There were some people want to call them Illuminati. I don't know about Illuminati. I know there was a power base that was there. And that power base basically had a meeting with the shakers and the movers in the radio stations.
Okay.
And you also had the producers and the people that were responsible for putting out music. Okay. So you had three structures. You had the people that were the money base, you had the record companies, and you had the radio companies. Okay. They came together and said, you're going to have to sign something. So everybody had to sign something. They said, if you don't leave this here, everything that you hear here, you're going to sign this. What do they call them? NFDs or whatever it is. Non-disclosure.
Exactly. Non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah. NDAs.
Right.
Non-disclosure agreement.
Right.
And if you don't want to do that, then you need to leave. We have a boat to take you. So a couple people didn't want to do it. They didn't know what it was going to be, bloodletting.
Right.
So
right.
So they went up. So really, what you had there was you had an edict that came down from people with the money, and they said, "Listen, we're getting ready to turn this whole industry upside down. You guys have the heartbeat of the culture. Music is the heartbeat, really, of the culture. It's art, and it always has moved the culture. It always has. Sometimes it's in your face. Sometimes it's more under the surface. But what we want to do is we are purposefully going to tell you guys, we want you to hire some of the best thugs, drug people, whatever, to do these records and make them filthy, whatever you got to do, because and it was they had an agenda, and the agenda was to break down the moral fabric of our community, especially the Black community. And this is documented, okay? And their whole reason for doing this was to try to oppress the Black community, because they knew that the people that were listening to it, if they hear all this, I'm gonna shoot your grandmother, I'm gonna pull a Glock out my trunk, I'm gonna beat you whole, and all that stuff, okay? That stuff is degrading, but these kids are listening to it. And if they hear that if they see that their heroes are saying this stuff, and they keep hearing it over and over and over and over again, they start to incorporate that into their lifestyle. And that's what we have today. And that's why it started turning, because they started putting the money into this degradation move. The money was going there. They didn't want the OJs. It's hard to believe. They didn't want the Temptations.
No, I could believe that.
They could have done it. Now they kept that, but they put it in a small box.
That's right. And
you would get it only on some radio stations that had urban AC. But mainstream, no, man. And it's crazy now.
It's unfortunate because my sons, of course, much younger than me, they said that some of the nastiest rappers are female, which is
without a doubt.
It's terrible. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I mean, these females out here right now, I know I'm gonna get in trouble, but you don't want to mess with them, bro.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to mess. You do not want to mess with them.
Yeah.
They got a cold thing going. Yeah. It's a cold-hearted attitude, and they ain't afraid of nothing.
Yeah. Well, my my youngest son is listening, but he told me, because he's the only one. I have 4 sons. He's the only one that's not married.
Amen.
What he told me was, he said, Dad, he said the women out here are not like mom. You was courting mom. That's what he said. I mean, because I'm saying, like, man, what's going on, bro? Blah blah. And he said it like that, and I understand. I understand. I mean, in fact, his baby mama is older than him. Put it that way. I mean, because I understand. When you say what you just said, I understand exactly what he meant, which is, man, that's terrible.
We're seeing such a shift in the attitudes of the individuals in our society now, man. I would not want to get back in the radio. I had some people saying, man, Ron, you sharp. You can get back in. You got the voice. You got the stuff going for you. You could run another station. I won't. Because, you got the demonic thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Real deep.
It is. In fact, the producers, I'm gonna steal some of his thunder. He told me, he works at Howard, contract for Howard, and they have like a welcoming day, and I'm just recanting what he said, and they were playing some of this raunchy rap. This is people coming to Howard University, the so-called Black Mecca, and they broadcasting this over the courtyard. So, being old school, like we do, he unplugged it, right? And he said the females, they're cussed them out.
Oh,
the females. No, he said he's listening, right? The females. He said
not the males.
Cussed him out. No, cussed him out because he unplugged. That just backs up what you just said. I mean, it's totally, that wouldn't have happened back, back in the day.
No,
but like, it was so bad, he had to unplug. He just like, pulled the plug, and the woman cussed him out. Right there.
Keith, a lot of it is the total degradation that we're seeing and the decline in our society's morals.
No doubt.
And it stems from, and Bill Cosby tried to say it, but they lynched him basically on it, metaphorically speaking.
I understand.
They basically said, "Who are you?" Because of the way he said it, but he's basically saying, it's your mamas and your daddies. You're the reason these kids are going buck wild, running the schools, running the classrooms, and are just acting buck wild and wild and loose because you guys didn't do your job. Now we know that that's really the narrative, but you got to be careful because there's a lot of women that have taken on the responsibility of father and mother because
Exactly.
they did the best thing they could do.
Right. That's
The
true.
dude left them. All right, but not all of them are doing crack, staying on welfare.
Exactly.
You know, some of them did a good job.
Now, one thing I did want to ask you, I saw some movie, forgot what it was, and this guy actually this went in there and slapped around the DJ because they wouldn't play a particular artist's song. This was like during the Big Gangsta Man. I think it's on BMF. Okay, I was watching, and does stuff like that actually happen where they would go and like try to intimidate the DJs and stuff like that?
No,
I see it's kind of crazy to me.
no. That was for sensationalism.
Okay.
When the DJ comes in there, his playlist is set.
Right. I would think so. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Now, back in the old days, I was at WBLK. I was bringing records from home.
Okay.
So my music was 10 times better than the stuff they had in the studio. Oh man, they had some horrible stuff. So I had a case I would bring in. And Frank Lorenz, the owner, he knew what I remember Frank Lorenz. Yeah, he's still living, man.
Is he?
Man, he's working at like a Home Depot.
What? Get out of here. Life is something else, ain't it?
This guy, I used to drive his Mercedes, man.
Okay.
When I came into work early to go, I used to take it to Delta Sonic, just so I could, style and profile. I have my fake phone that I got from 7-Eleven, acting like I'm on a plastic phone. Turn my windows down. Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, man, how you doing, bro?
That's funny. That's really funny, man.
Yeah.
But I'm really man, I find that very disheartening what you said about the music because that's when it, the music kind of like took a dive. I mean, like with Luther Campbell, the
but some hip hop is really, really, really good.
No, of course. Public Enemy took off. They was badass.
There was a consciousness.
I mean, KRS-One, Chris, Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah has some positive thing. I mean, but
a lot of one of my favorite of all time was Houdini with 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Friends.
That was a cold tune. That's funny, man. I love that tune, man.
Man, Friends.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a good skating song.
I remember Skateland and I like Rumors.
This is Trunis Goggins.
Yeah, Trunis. Yeah, Trunis. Yeah. I was involved now on periphery because Bill, when I was working with Bill, they had the bingo there on Saturdays. And that was the lifeblood, man. It kept Bill going. I mean, it was a cash cow. That's another story, but it was a serious. I mean, hundreds of people in there. You're paying about $8-10 a piece. Come on, man. I mean, you do the math yourself, man. I mean, every Saturday and sometimes on Sundays, either before church or after. Bingo. I mean,
are you really?
Oh yeah, man. It was a cash cow. In fact, that's kind of when it went down, because when Bill Gator, lost the leadership. Like I said, it's a whole nother thing. But
I worked for Bill Gator when I was 15. Maintenance pay centers.
Oh wow! Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah. Now, not really, because I went to Howard. I came back, but I came back to Howard. I came back to work with the producer.
1490 Jefferson, right?
Right. I worked at the Skills Center. It was around the corner from me.
Oh yeah.
I worked for Bill. I worked with Doug Ruffin, and his son interviewed you. His son. I saw you in the pocket. His son interviewed you, and I worked with his dad. That's how old I am. I worked with his dad, and I worked with Bill. Daryl Gator, Bill's son. We all worked together.
Daryl was a heck of an athlete at East.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I think he was a track star, wasn't he?
Track. He ran track, exactly.
Yeah.
I was a couple years older than him, but I remember him like when I was a senior. He's like a sophomore, but I think he was all high.
You went there with the Fletchers, Kenny Fletcher and Carl.
I don't remember Fletcher me, but the basketball players that were with Wagstaff, and then
Oh
before
yeah,
him,
Wag was something else.
yeah, and before him was Michael Norwood.
Michael
Nor-
Norwood.
Yeah.
Man,
That's how old I am. That's how old I am.
that's how young you are.
But unfortunately, the football wasn't the same. Jeffries was the quarterback for a couple of years. He made all high. I think he OD'd.
I remember hearing Jeffrey's name.
Jeffrey OD'd on our graduation, night of our graduation. It was tragic. It was terrible. I just
What?
Glenn Jeffries. Yeah.
I remember that name. He was.
Yeah, he's all right. He's with a few black. He's about the only really him and Davey White. Davey White played for Bennett, but Jeffries was was notable. He's all right, man. It's a tragedy. It's just it was a shame. Yeah, the producer remembers. We all graduated from East. Yeah, I mean,
But East, man, East will always be a special place in my heart because Northampton is right around my house. But I wanted to go there and play for Pew. Pew wanted
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about Pew offline later.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I never liked him, but that's like I got a reason for that. But it's offline. We'll talk about that. But now the music now, I don't see it as much better. I mean, like I'm talking about even the R&B part. It's not really much.
It's a lot of it. They took the soul out of soul music because
Good point.
they rely so much on the electronics. And the electronics, you could go do a hit.
Right.
Seriously. I talked to James Ingram one time. I said,
okay, yeah. Okay.
I said, James, we were in New Orleans. We were sitting on the steps over on Gravier Street and waiting for his limo to come pick him up.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you a funny story about James Ingram. Right before he died, I was talking to him and I said, "Hey James, how you doing, man?" He said, "Well, I'm doing great, man." I said, "So what are you doing these days, man?" He said, "Well, I wrote a song on the Thriller album." He did. He wrote a song on Thriller. Yeah.
Okay.
Him and Saida Garrett.
Okay.
And he said, "All I do, man, is just sit over here by this mailbox every 2 weeks. Ching, 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 ching."
The residual.
Hey, he would say he's getting 30,000 a pop.
That's
every time he went to the mailbox.
Wow.
Every week almost.
For writing the song.
Because people kept buying the album and it never stopped. It was perpetual gold mine.
Right.
And he said, "Man, we still get it." He said, "Man, I can't cash the checks." Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Yeah.
That is really crazy.
But he told me, he enlightened me in 1987. He told me, I said, "James, you got one of the greatest pure voices I've ever heard."
He was real smooth, right?
In R&B. And I said, "Tell me something. How come you don't have 3 or 4 hits every year as good as your voice is?" He said, "Ron, I'll never forget this." He died.
Yeah.
And he said, "We're not in the singing business, brother." I said, "Explain that to me." So we're in the record making business.
Wow.
People buy records. They don't buy singers. I said, "Right." Wow. I said, "It doesn't make a difference how well you sing. If you got the beat, you got a nice look, you got a distribution company that can help get it out, because if nobody knows about it, then it's like having a diamond in the closet that you never bring out." Wow. But you can make a hit, Keith. All you got to do is have all the elements in today's music. It's got to have a good beat, and it's got to be repping something that's, I'm not going to say important, but something that's relatable.
Okay.
To those people that buy records. And a lot of times it's drugs and, what I'm going to do to you, what I'm going to do to you tonight. Get ready. Yeah. But, that changed my whole mindset.
Oh, no doubt.
It's not about singing. It's about making records.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's commercialized. I mean, I guess
it's commercialized.
Only way I can say that, because because one thing I mentioned in the part 1, we don't hear the Luther Vandross anymore. I mean, those it's like he's like he died and it's gone. I mean, that type. I know everybody can't sing like that. That's not my point. But even those type of songs. I mean, like I've listened to Drew Hill when I was coming home. Like it's like he probably he couldn't even touch Luther Vandross. But I'm just saying that's like the closest to a melodic type guy that you get. You know what I'm saying?
But the song, see, the Drew Hill song was probably better than Drew Hill. Tell me what you want.
Exactly. That's what I
Tell
that's what I just heard.
me
Right.
what you need.
Yeah,
And how about In My Bed? The remix.
So I'm not familiar with the remix. I just happened to hear that. I'm not familiar with the remix.
That remix was out of this world.
See what I'm saying?
Funny story about Luther Vandross. I got called by Epic Records when I was in Chicago working at VAZ and said, Ron, you want to come down and have dinner with Luther? I said, what do you want me to say? Right. Absolutely. Right. They brought in like 10 program directors from all over the country.
Wow.
And we met at Oprah Winfrey's restaurant.
Okay.
I mean, they burned at that place, man.
Okay.
We had a back room. All the program directors were set up. He had music, monitors, DJs, all that stuff. He did a up close and personal concert for us, man.
Wow.
Yeah, like I'm sitting in a room with you, man.
That's awesome.
I got tears in my eyes. It was so good. Now he didn't have a band, but he was singing over the tracks.
Right.
And these tracks didn't have vocals in it.
Right.
They were naked tracks with no vocals. So he was there.
Wow.
And we had 3 program directors at each table. So we had like 4 tables. And the way the setup was, it was a perfect setup. He got on the mic, he said, I'm going to spend 20 minutes with every table. Okay, we're going to eat, we're going to do whatever, hang out, we're going to drink, whatever. He said, you can ask me anything you want.
Wow.
And people are like, wow. And people ask him all the time. Nobody got indignant. It's like
of course.
Radio. Yeah. But I remember he got around to me. He said, Mr. Ron. I said, hey, man. He said, they call you Ronnie? I said, people that are close to me, down in Buffalo, they call me Ronnie. My family call me Ronnie. He said, guess what? That's my name.
What?
I did just like you. I said, Ronnie? He said, yeah, that's my name, Ronnie Vandross. And I said, well, I could see why you use Luther instead of Ronnie Vandross.
Okay.
Sounds a little geeky, but
that's interesting.
But you know how I got the name. But here's the kicker. I said, well, how'd your mom come up with Ronnie? He said, my mom was pregnant, about 8 months pregnant. We're in Harlem, and she was in the kitchen, and she was trying to figure out a name. She knew it was going to be a boy, and she said, I still don't have a name for this. So she said she looked up, going to her cabinet, doors are open. It's a true story. And there was a box of Ronzoni pasta. And that's where the name came from.
Wow.
Yeah. He was on the Electric Company.
Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing him one day. Yeah. He was he was a balladeer, man. It's very, seriously. It's just nothing close to him. Nothing close to him. Nobody. White or black. Nothing close to him at all, man.
Somebody asked him how he liked the experience on the Electric Company.
Oh, really?
He said, I love it, but he said something about singing about 1 and the 2s and the 3 and the 4 is a 5. It got old after a while.
After about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm saying, what's it? Morgan Freeman started on that. On Sesame Street. Morgan Freeman started on Sesame Street.
He sure did.
Morgan Freeman. That's right.
He sure did. Yeah. He's my hero, man. I love that guy, man.
Yeah. He's a talent. He's
driving Miss Daisy.
I didn't like that, but the one I liked, I'll tell you one I really liked. I think what he took off. No, that was good too. Before Shawshank is a Street Smart. You remember?
I never saw that.
He played the pimp. Man, I'm telling you, it's just like a couple of pimps I seen in Buffalo. It looked like it could have been shot in Buffalo. I'm telling you, Street Smart.
It might be.
What's the guy that plays Superman? Keanu Reeves, whatever his name is, the
Yeah.
one that, Christopher Reeves, and you got to see it. But the baddest part of it, not just the flick, at the end of it, the theme song was by Miles Davis, and when they roll the credits, you got to listen to the last 3 minutes. Miles got off. I mean, the music is just. I'm just saying, it's a
It
good
was the
story.
perfect song.
But when they rolled it at the end, I said, wait, that is, and Miles just. I'm just saying, street smart. You probably get it on YouTube or something like that, man. But the music, and that's another thing. Before you go, like the jazz, man, as a lot of young folks is keeping it on. We got some artists come out of Houston, Robert Glasper, kind of like electric piano, Jason Moran. They're from Houston. It's just the young guys are keeping it going. The youngest
Scott Gertner.
Yeah, Scott Gertner. But Lakeisha Benjamin, she's not even 30, and she plays sax. She did a whole thing tribute to Coltrane. So you need, if you ever, Lakeisha Benjamin, if you ever just run across or see her on PBS, you gotta watch it. She's bad. Just Samara Joy, she's a balladeer. Now she's real smooth. I mean, you heard of Diane Reeves, I know. You heard of Diane Reeves.
Oh yeah.
She's like a young Diane Reeves. And so they keeping the genre going. The young folks like that. But Jason Moran is bad. He's kind of closer to Herbie Hancock.
Really?
Because playing. No, he's just plays acoustic piano, not electric. This thing is acoustic. But Jason Moran, man, out of Houston, they went to school performing arts. But these guys are way younger than us. That's what I'm saying. I don't think any people I just mentioned. I don't think any of them are 40.
I think of the Crusaders. I think of Houston.
Oh man,
TSU.
They was.
Was it TSU or Southern?
TSU.
Yeah. Okay.
Wilton Felder.
Yeah.
I know Joe Sample passed away.
Yeah.
But man, they that last song they did.
Dick Super.
Yeah, he was bad too. The drummer, but Street Life. That was 70. That was my top 79.
And that was a
Classic.
killer.
Classic.
Oh, that's one of the top 100 songs of all time.
It's got to be. It's got to be, man. Just and it's relevant. I mean, it's relevant to today. I mean, just talking about people. Prince Charming always comes behind a silver spoon. I mean, come on, man. And the solos was getting off. I mean, so that genre is still. I'm working on something. I'll get back at you about it. About trying to get the jazz, a little bit more. I guess
mainstream.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
I mean, it's a niche. It's a niche.
It's a niche genre.
It's a niche genre. But as long as I know where to get my niche, I'm fine.
That's right.
And that's probably a lot of people. It'll never get the widespread notoriety as mainstream R&B and pop because not. they don't turn over the product as much as
of course not. Yeah,
the people that are out there right now in mainstream. But that's devil music, man. That stuff is devil music, man.
Yeah, man.
I probably shouldn't say that.
No. You say what you say. That's what this is for. But like you said, man, it explains what you said about that meeting. Explains what we heard. I mean, why we hear it like this, man? Because it's ridiculous, man. I mean, it's really, literally. I listen to Magic occasionally, but my wife has it on her, her radio all the time.
Yeah, but they're urban AC, right?
Yeah, but at night, if I have to change the channel.
Okay.
I'll go to KTSU, something like that. I mean, it's bad, bro.
Hey, you know who's on TSU? It's Chili Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
Chili Bill, he used to do promotions for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah. In fact, I tried to reach Kyle Turner. He plays jazz. He does jazz for TSU. I was trying to get him to come out with you, and we just kept the wires crossed. And he's doing what he's doing. And he performs locally here. Sax man, Kyle Turner, but he does the jazz. Yeah, he does the jazz. I was trying to get both you guys on the same time, but we can revisit it again because this is our culture, man. The music Like you said that. I mean, that's actually our culture. I mean, so we got it.
You think Houston is better now than it was like when I was there in 90, 87?
I don't want to say better. The only thing I would say is there's more like business opportunities, more black businesses.
More black businesses.
Yeah,
Okay.
more black businesses. A lot. I'm not talking about restaurant. You know what? You know James Harden had a restaurant here. Yeah, I think he still got it. Uh, it's the black community kind of plateaued now. Um, there was a thing called Turkey Hut. Man, this guy. Okay, you know where Jefferson starts, like at Main Street. It went all the way down. Listen to me, to like Utica. That's how long the line was.
No,
I'm talking
no
about.
way.
Okay, I got to get somebody out here from Houston, but that's how long. This guy was making a mint. Make a long story short, man, he got into like a beef with somebody about a club, and then they came after him, man. They put some health violations on him to close him down.
Oh man.
This guy had to be making millions, man. I got to. We were meet this guy. I don't know if you know Carter, Leonard Carter. He played at Kensington. He's a little younger than us. Anyway, we rode our bikes from Herman Park over to Alameda, right? This is like around between 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The line was that long. The line, I'm just saying, the lines are just, and it's a hangout spot. It's a hangout. I mean, that's how they make it.
Well, Almeda's near the medical center, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We rode from Herman Park to Alameda,
Woo.
go to the medical center, and it's not long, maybe about 5 miles, one way. Crazy, man. But that's just how it is. Houston. It's a lot.
I miss
going on.
Houston, man.
You
I
come
really,
visit, man.
I mean, I will, man. Now that we connected,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm waiting for some money to come in. I'm trying to do some things.
Okay.
I may get on the radio here and do some old school things. Just
Good.
give me a couple $100 a week.
Good.
Retired.
Are you going to be on Waffle? You need to let us know you're going to be on Waffle. Okay.
No, we'll talk off the air.
Okay.
On that, I love the people at Waffle. I love them. I love the black community. It's just that I something else is in the fire.
Exactly. That's cool. I mean, so I see Byron Brown is not the mayor anymore. Is in the sister that ran against him. But my friends told me she didn't make it to City Hall. So the political landscape's changed in Buffalo a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, it went back to non-black.
Okay. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah,
this guy named Ryan won the primary the other last week, I think. Guy named Ryan.
Yeah, I guess so. I thought it was a guy that wasn't black, but
right.
Garnell Whitfield, good friend. I want to send a shout out to him. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
He went to St. Joe's. He was all Catholic there. He went to Carroll High School. He went to then he went to Carroll College.
Okay.
And then he wound up being the fire commissioner for like 20, 25 years.
Excuse me. That's a friend. My friend I was telling you about, his cousin is married to him. Yeah. He ran for the mayor. He ran for the mayor spot, didn't he?
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. I used to go with his sister.
Yeah. He ran for mayor, and he said it didn't come out. He said the black community didn't.
No, they didn't. They only 8%, but his mom was killed tragically on May 14th. Yeah, his mom was killed. The guy went right up to his mother, and I can't say it on here, but did her filthy. Did her filthy.
Man. That's a horrible thing, man. That's a horrible.
It is, and I used to date his sister Angela, and I mean the whole family was beautiful. They were high class. They lived on Rich Street, across from St. Mary of Sorrows on Genesee.
Okay.
And I used to go by there and hang out with Angela and the mother. She was always nice. That broke my heart, man. Yeah, people didn't come out.
Yeah, that's hate to hear that, man. But so much apathy. You can't hardly blame them, man. This stuff has been real crazy now, man.
There's a lot of negative stuff going on in the world.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
These phones are killing our society.
It's mind control, man. People having car accidents and whatnot. I mean, just it's mind control, bro.
Say it again. Yeah. It's mind control.
Yeah, absolutely, it's tough, man. It's crazy.
Free your mind.
But Ryan, it's been great. We the Producer like says the clock's on the wall's ticking, but we could do this again, man. You know,
Man,
we
anytime, man. Listen, I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like I'm in your living room,
It's
and
like
let
with
me
the
tell you,
technology. That's right.
yeah, man. But no, I'm talking about how great a host you are.
I appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
Oh
Thank you.
man, that a podcast will go as the host goes.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay.
But it was a revelation what you said, man. I mean, seriously, I'm everybody I know. I wanted to
Right.
tune in to what you said, man, because
Right.
that was a heck of a thing, man. That
It
was a heck
was.
of a
It's
thing
true,
that you
man.
brought. I mean,
It's
it's
true.
and it's no, I believe it. It explains a lot.
Yeah.
It explains a lot,
Yeah.
man.
It does. But listen, man, call me anytime, man. I love
Okay,
you, brother.
appreciate it.
Homeboy.
Thanks again, man. And
All right.
look,
See you later. Bye bye.
take care now. Thank you for listening to Express Yourself, produced by
All right, man.
Sonship Communications.
Okay,
Peace be
buddy.
with you.
All right.
Peace.
God bless you. Hello. Hello. Hey, man.